Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 British-based gangster film The Gentleman, a film that is written and directed by Guy Ritchie, and it stars Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Michelle Dockeray, Jeremy Strong, Colin Farrell, Henry Golding, Hugh Grant and Eddie Marsan. Now, this is a Guy Ritchie gangster film. Now, if you've seen his work previously, Lock, Stock, Snatch, Revolver, things like that, you'll know that his gangster films follow quite specific patterns, and by that I mean there's loads of little intertwining stories that take place over a overarching narrative, and they all kind of make sense by the end of the movie. Well, this film follows a very similar pattern to those. And it's just getting its release now in the UK at the beginning of January in 2020. I've managed to see it now, and this is, well, very similar to what you might expect from a Guy Ritchie gangster film. It follows Matthew McConaughey's character, Mickey Pearson, who's an American in the UK who's got a huge marijuana business. He's got farms all over the UK, and he's got quite a clever gig going on, in a sense of he has his farms on well-to-do estates that are run by lords and ladies, and he specifically chooses those that are a bit short on cash. So he pays them a handsome sum to have his marijuana farms on their properties, and the police would never suspect that, you know, these lords and ladies would be hiding these marijuana farms. So he's got quite a clever business plan going on. However, he wants to sell up, so he brings Jeremy Strong's character into the business in the hope to sell it to this billionaire, and there's a very specific price. However, there are plans in place to undermine his business in order to knock the price down, and there's all these people get involved, there's complex storylines go on, and it's all told by our narrator in this film, which is really Hugh Grant, who plays this wonderfully sleazy journalist, Fletcher, who turns up at Charlie Hunnam's house one night in order to try and blackmail him and Matthew McConaughey, who run this marijuana business, claiming he's got evidence of all this stuff that's been going on to try and undermine the business, and he wants £20 million in exchange for this information and his safety, etc, etc. But essentially he's there to narrate the story for us. And that's kind of the best way I can explain this film and this story without going into spoilers, because it's quite a complex story. So what did I think of The Gentleman? Well, I think it's safe to say if you like his previous work, Guy Ritchie, in this genre, I don't think you're going to be disappointed here. I actually, by the end of this film, I really quite enjoyed it. I think it was, it made a lot of more sense, but I mean, by the end. At the beginning, the first 20 minutes or so, I wasn't into this film. I found it overly confusing, a little bit overindulgent. There were some unnecessary characters, but it was almost like a jigsaw puzzle, this film. Once the puzzle started falling into place, these puzzle pieces, it started to make more and more sense as the film was going on, and then by the end it really made a lot of sense, and everything for the most part kind of worked and fell into place, and it was a much more enjoyable experience by the end, helped by some really interesting performances, chief of which I think was Colin Farrell and Hugh Grant, who gave brilliant performances. I'm not a huge fan of either actor, if I'm honest. I think Colin Farrell, generally speaking, he's obviously quite a talented actor, but I'm just not a big fan of generally the films he chooses to do. But he's brilliant in this film. He plays a guy called Coach, who basically coaches kids off the streets in his boxing club to try and keep them, legal. But he's not doing a very good job of it. And Hugh Grant, who plays, like I said, this sleazy journalist, is almost unrecognisable in his performance, and I really enjoyed it, and he's easily one of the best things in this film. Matthew McConaughey is Matthew McConaughey. He's cool as ice, smooth as silk, this American businessman that always seems to be one step ahead of his competition. He plays that role really well. And Charlie Hunnam, who's like his number one, his deputy, most trusted guy, is okay. It's a little bit of a neutered performance. I wasn't really sure whether he was trying to be really cool or really reserved, and it ended up being somewhere in the middle. Didn't mind it. And it was full of nice quirky performances, this film, and there were some fun moments in it. Its comedy's pitched just right. It's a little bit tame at times to say it's a gangster film. You know, it's not in your face violent, it's not overly indulgent in the violence, even though clearly there is some violence in the film. And I do think the plot does get a little bit overly complex at times. I think it tries to be too clever for its own good. There's at times there's too many characters in this film, and it is difficult to keep track of everything that's going on at times. So I'm not sure. I think it was overly complex and a little bit overly indulgent at times, and it made it difficult for the viewer to always enjoy the film because it tried to be a little bit too clever, I think. But everything worked by the end. I really enjoyed how everything played out, all these characters played out by the end, and all their arcs in the film kind of played out as well. And I think it was, at the end, quite a satisfying film. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it. I'm not a huge fan of gangster films. I'm not a huge fan of Guy Ritchie films, if I'm being perfectly honest. I quite like his Sherlock Holmes ones, but other than that, and Snatch is probably my favourite film that he's done. But other than that, I'm not like a super fan or anything. But I do think this is worth checking out. So thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll see you next time for more reviews on Screen Stars.